Right, OK. Now, a Sunday Times exclusive, a Home Office review has found counterterrorism officers believe Southport killer Axel Rudakubana had an interest in world news and current affairs. Hey, people, so do I, by the way. But he was not in danger of being radicalised. A redacted version of the report into decisions made by Prevent is due to be released and is set to expose serious failings in the officer's approach to violent extremism. So where did it all go horribly wrong, and what should be done to prevent, no pun intended, absolutely no pun intended, this tragedy? Joining me now is security expert Professor Anthony Glees to explain what went wrong. Hello, Anthony, thank you so much for joining me this morning. The most horrific story, we've all gone through it all week, and there's so many questions. The main question is, how was this allowed to happen? I mean, Prevent, what do they actually prevent? Nothing, as far as I can see.
Well, I think there was obviously a specific reason, and we shouldn't ignore the fact that the perpetrator here is the person who needs to be blamed. He's the key figure here, and you know, whether he was mad, what he is, we can discuss that. But there is no doubt that there were major failings, and the Sunday Times report makes this very clear indeed. What we have seen, particularly on the crucial meeting that they had about Rudakubana in 2019, a decision was taken not even to interview him. So this is a failing. It's a failing of the counter-terrorist police. We're told there are about 20 in the Greater Manchester area who deal with extremism in the northwest, and that they are very junior officers. They have very little experience, and they were kind of making a decision on the basis of whether or not there was evidence of ideology there.
Now, us blokes hate talking about a little thinning up top, and many of us settle with that balding look, but that wasn't for me, and that's why I went to Elite Hair, the world's leading hair loss clinic, and now I've had over 4,000 new hairs added to this barnet, and very soon I'm going to be rocking some brand new flowing locks, and you can too. So how does it work? Step 1, I sent the team a set of photos of my head. Step 2, I then spoke to one of the Elite Hair staff who looked through my photo submissions and worked out a treatment plan for me. Step 3, Elite Hair then organised accommodation and the treatment. I was at their state-of-the-art treatment centre in Istanbul, and their incredibly kind staff took me through the process, and before I knew it, I was in surgery. Elite Hair and their leading medical experts have specialised in pain-free treatments using the sleep deep method, and they really mean that. I felt incredibly relaxed the whole time, and I haven't felt any pain since. Check out Elite Hair using the link in the description. When you do, Elite Hair will provide you with a free personalised hair analysis. Then you'll join over 100,000 happy patients. Hit that link and start your hair growth journey like I did today.
Now, you know, ideology is the sort of thing you might expect students in a politics course or philosophy course to debate with each other. It's not something that we should ask police officers to determine, and certainly not junior police officers. So that meeting was fatal and had appalling consequences. But it's not the only problem that's been highlighted. The first problem, of course, is what the police said on the 29th and the 30th of July, 2024, when they said there's no terror connection that they know about. And we know that's simply untrue. There were strong indications that there was a connection to terrorism. Even if subsequently they were proved to be wrong, the indications were very clear. The Al-Qaeda textbook, the ricin, not just ordered, but prepared and good to go. An obsession with massacres, a knife, and clearly thought being given to what all this added up to, including, you know, the Taylor Swift dance party, which we know is a target for Islamists. Even if he wasn't an Islamist, he was nevertheless clearly a terrorist. And for the cops to say, no, there's no terrorism connection, I mean, that beggars belief. Going beyond that to the decision, the way the Prevent programme works is that an initial referral from schools. And it's important to realise, I think, in the case of Rudakubana, all the schools acted in an exemplary fashion.
Indeed, yes,
it
they
goes
did.
to the cops, it goes to these junior, inexperienced cops, and if they decide they can't detect an ideology, whatever that means, then that's the end of the matter. It never goes to the second so-called channel stage where experts then try to de-radicalize. But, you know, in the case of Axel Rudakubana, you need only look at the photograph of him. He's obviously mad. But being mad, being a psychopath, doesn't mean you can't be a terrorist. In fact, the opposite is the case. So were the people qualified to decide whether or not he was a terrorist? The answer is no. Did they think in silos? Yes, they did. Did they think about things they weren't qualified to form an opinion on? Yes, they did. And did they then not read their notes before saying there's no terror connection to this case? So this is a very, very appalling report that was leaked to the Sunday Times, obviously intentionally, and very, very disturbing.
So, I mean, it says, his attacks did not meet the legal definition of terrorism. So we now are left that, the counterterrorism unit is cut out of this equation because it wasn't terrorism. So we do need to assess what actually is terrorism and then assess how the counterterrorism unit, reacts to this.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, to put it at its crudest, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks and it waddles, it is a duck. And to have a long discussion as to what kind of duck it is and what the duck has had access to is meaningless. We're charging these officers to make life or death decisions. And in this case, they made the wrong decision. And that's very serious. But there are other people, as this man appears on the face of it to be so clearly psychotic, as he comes from a Rwandan background, given the Rwandan massacres, we must assume, as his parents were asylum seekers, we must assume that in the family there were memories of massacres and so on, and then add these Al-Qaeda issues to it. And I don't want to go into the details of what vile Rudakubana did with the knife that he had.
No, we don't need
but
to.
Those of us who follow Islamist terrorism will know that those attacks are also consistent with an Islamist approach to carrying out atrocities. So, the evidence is there. And what is happening to this country where we continually think in terms of categories? If you look at the prevent leaflets, all the things the police have to be careful about, data protection, they need to have safeguarding, interagency groups, etc., etc. I think the time for all that is gone. I think we need to take a whole new look at who is doing prevent. This is a life and death matter. It's not a matter for junior officers, not a matter to be shrugged off. And we need to have people who really understand that if you are attracted to images of violence, if you download the Al-Qaeda textbook, that's it. You're removed from society and kept removed until you realise the error of your ways with ever.
Brilliant words. Indeed. Thank you very much. That's Anthony Glees, expert Professor Anthony Glees. Thank you very much on the horror story that still has so many, many questions.